Ayn Rand said it best when she said, "When you see that in order to produce you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing, when you see that money is flowing to those who deal not in goods but in favours, when you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, and your laws don't protect you against them, but protect them against you, when you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed." So few actually see and understand the big picture as to what is happening in the world. Most are completely oblivious to the fact that they are standing directly in the path of an out-of-control freight train that is being driven by a psychopath who has no intention of hitting the brakes. Self-absorbed, distracted, still in one piece with a job, food in the belly, a roof over their head, and money to pay the bills, these are the ones who will more than likely remain oblivious to the warning bells. Very soon, however, they will be the ones who will find themselves completely unprepared for the role they are playing in this epic saga. First they came for the farmers. You don't care because you're not a farmer. Then they come for the small business owners. You don't care because you're not a business owner. Next they are coming for you. But guess what? There's no one left to fend for you. Will this be your story? Listen carefully. That house you are buying, you don't own it. You no longer even have the right to own any property, period. That's how and why the bank can just walk in and take it. When that farmer that you so don't care about is told that it is his fault when the bank comes to steal his farm out from under him, he accepts the blame, feels defeated, and then he goes and kills himself, having never pieced together the ruthless scam that destroyed him and is sabotaging the whole country. Dr. David Pascoe, a vet who sees firsthand what is occurring on the land, wrote a post on Facebook that went viral. The following is some excerpts of what he had to say. Charlie Phillott, now 80, a farmer from the ruggedly beautiful Carisbrook station at Winton, has owned his station since 1960, nurtured it and loved it like a part of his own flesh. He is a grand old gentleman. Not so long ago, the ANZ Bank came and drove him off his beloved station because the drought had devalued his land, and they told him he was considered an unviable risk. Yet Charlie Phillott has never once missed a single mortgage payment. Dr. Pascoe doesn't mention geoengineering in his post, and is likely unaware of the fact that the psychopaths are manipulating the weather, causing droughts on one side of the country and floods on the other. Another point that needs to be stressed is that Charlie hadn't missed a payment on his mortgage, which is often the case with these targeted farmers. There isn't a problem with the loans being repaid. The issue is that once the drought hit, the bank decided to revalue the mortgage property, decided that it was worth less than the loan, and called the loan in. Dr. Pascoe continues, "Today this dignified grand old man of the West is living like some hunted down refugee in Winton, shocked and humiliated and penniless. And most of all, Charlie Phillott is ashamed, because as a member of the great generation, those fine and decent and ethical men and women who built this country, he believes that what happened to him was somehow his own fault, and the ANZ Bank certainly wanted to make sure they made him feel that way. So we must ask, is this simply to move the people off their land and free it up for mining by foreign mining companies, or make suddenly newly empty farms available for purchase by Chinese buyers? As outrageous as it might seem, All the evidence flooding in seems to suggest that this is exactly what is going on. What is the role of our government in all of this? Why have the state and federal government stood back and allowed such a dreadful travesty to happen to our own people? Where was the Prime Minister? The answer is nowhere to be seen. We are being warned against the threats of terrorism to our nation. We have been alerted to ISIS and its clear and present danger to the Australian people. The Prime Minister dispatched Australian military forces into the Middle East in an effort to destroy this threat to our own safety and security. This mobilisation of our military forces has come at a massive and unbudgeted expense to the average Australian taxpayer, which the Prime Minister estimates to be around $500 million each year. We are told that terrorism is dangerous not only because of the threat to human life, but also because it displaces populations and creates a massive human cost of refugees. Yet not one single newspaper or politician in this land has exposed the fact that the worst form of terrorism that is happening right now is going on inside the very heartland of our own nation, as banks and foreign mining companies are deliberately and cruelly forcing out our own Australian farmers off the land. What we saw in the main hall of Winton simply defied all description. A room filled with hundreds of broken and battered refugees from our own country. It was a scene more tragic and traumatic than a dozen desperate funerals. Right now, all over the inland of Queensland and New South Wales, there is nothing but social and financial carnage on a scale that has never before been witnessed in this nation. When you flow in low over this landscape, it is simply apocalyptic. There has not been a drop of rain in Winton for 2 years, and there is not a sheep, a cow, a kangaroo, an emu or a bird in sight. Even the trees in the very belly of the creeks are dying. There is little doubt that this is a natural disaster of incredible magnitude. Yet nobody, neither state nor the federal government, is willing to declare it as such. The suicide rate has now reached such epic proportions right across the inland. Not just the farmer who takes the walk up the paddock and does away with himself, but also their children and their wives. Once again, it has barely been covered by the media, a dreadful masquerade that has assisted by the reticence and shame of honourable farming families caught in these tragic situations. Not one of us knew it was this bad, this much of a national tragedy. The truth is that these days the Australian media basically doesn't give a damn. They have been muzzled and shut down by governments and foreign mining companies to the extent that they are no longer willing to write the real story. So the responsibility is now left to people like us, to social media and you, the Australian people. And so the banks have been free to play their games and completely terrorise these people at their leisure. The drought has devalued the land and the banks have seen their opportunity to strike. It was exactly an excuse they needed to clean up and make a fortune, because once the rains come, as they always do, this land will be worth 4 to 10 times the price. In fact, when farmers have asked for the payout figures, the banks have been either deeply reluctant or not capable of providing the mortgage trail, because they have on-sold the mortgage just like subprime agriculture. This problem isn't simply happening in Winton, but rather right across the entire inland, across Queensland and New South Wales. I'd add Victoria to that as well, and probably every other state. The banks have been bringing in the police to evict Australian farmers and their families from their farms, many of them multi-generational. One farmer matter-of-factly told us it took about 7 police to evict him from his first farm, and maybe about 12 to evict him from his second farm, which had been in his family for many generations. You think they are kidding you? Then you see the expression in their eyes. And there was something far worse in the room, the fear of speaking out against the banks. When we asked people to tell us who had done this to them, they would immediately start to shake and cry and look away. They have been silenced to protect the good corporate image of their tormentors called the banks. What in God's name have the bastard banks been allowed to do to our people? This is a travesty against the rights and the human dignity of every Australian. When these people are forced off their farms, they have nowhere to go. There are no refugee services waiting, such as is the case for those who attempt to enter the sovereign borders of this nation. The farmers simply drive to the nearest town. That's if the banks haven't stripped their cars of them as well. And then try and find somewhere to sleep. Some are sleeping on the backs of trucks in swags. There is basically no home or accommodation made available to them. They camp out, shocked and broken and penniless, and they are living on Weet-Bix and noodles. If there is someone that can lend a family enough money to buy food, they will. Otherwise they are left completely alone. And consider this, not one of them has asked for help. Not one. They just do the best they can, ashamed and broken and brainwashed by the banks to believe that everything that has happened is completely their own fault. Barnaby Joyce attended the meeting in Winton. He had given $100 million of financial assistance in a lousy deal where the government will borrow 2.75% and loan it back at 3.21%. The last thing these people need is another loan. They need a redevelopment bank to finance their own loans. Issuing a loan to pay off a loan is nothing more than financial suicide. The reality is that Joyce cannot get support from what he calls the shits in cabinet to create a desperately needed redevelopment bank so that these farmers can get cheap loans to tide them through to the end of the drought. Our sources suggest that those shits in cabinet include Malcolm Turnbull, the current Prime Minister that's likely to be yet another 5-minute wonder come election day, July 2nd, 2016. Then there's Andrew Robb, the man behind the free trade deal, the man who suddenly acquired 3 trendy Sydney restaurants almost overnight. The man who seems too suddenly desperate to sell off our farms to China. And one Greg Hunt, the man who is instantly approving almost every single mining project that is put in front of him. The Australian people need to be both informed and desperately outraged about what is being done to our own people. This is about every right that was once held dear to us. Human rights, property rights, civil rights, and most of all our rights to freedom of speech. All of that has been taken away from these people, and the rest of us need to understand that we are probably next. The Newman government has removed all farmers' rights to protest to a mine and gave mining companies the rights to take all of the water they want from the Great Artesian Basin and at no cost to them at all. This all happened under Newman and Abbott. We used to think of Winton as the home of Waltzing Matilda. It was written at a local station and first performed in the North Gregory Hotel. I think it was Don McLean who wrote "Something Touched Me Deep Inside the Day the Music Died" in his song American Pie, and for us, that Friday was the day the music died. We will never be able to sing Waltzing Matilda again until we see some justice for these people and all of the farmers of the inland. This is no longer the Australia we once knew. No longer our country, no longer our people, no longer the decent, caring leaders we once remembered. Right now, the banks, the mining mates, the corrupt politicians, and all of the mongrels in suits have won, and the Australian people don't have a clue what has been done to them. Like the American Depression, and the iconic photograph of Florence Owens Thompson, there is a terrible gaping wound that has been carved across the heartland of this nation. We need to fully grasp that and to understand that our people, dignified, decent and honourable old men like Charlie Phillip, have been deliberately terrorised, brutalised and sold out. In one sense, Charlie Phillip has become the symbol overnight of every decent Australian, the simple right to live out our lives on the land we love and the land we are still free to call our own, at least until some dangerously persuaded, corrupted, trendy liberal theorist decided to strip all that away. The truth is, no Australian was ever consulted about whether or not they wanted to see their land mined into oblivion or see our precious water poisoned and given away for free, whether they wanted to be driven off their land by the greed of banking executives who saw the chance to make a profit by wiping out the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. No Australian was ever consulted about whether or not we wanted to see our beloved homeland sold on the cheap to greedy, faceless foreigners just because some slimy, two-faced minister managed to convince a weakened Prime Minister to meekly carry out his bidding. Nobody asked us, we the people, not once. So if we are ever going to do something, then we'd better realise that it's now only 2 minutes to midnight. So we'd better move fast. Regards, David.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. For those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power. The power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Attention all you rule breakers, you misfits and troublemakers, all you free spirits and pioneers, all you visionaries and nonconformists. Everything the establishment has told you is wrong with you is actually what's right with you. You see things others don't. You are hardwired to change the world. Unlike 9 out of 10 people, your mind is irrepressible, and this threatens authority. You were born to be a revolutionary. You can't stand rules because in your heart you know there's a better way. You have strengths dangerous to the establishment, and it wants them eliminated. So your whole life you've been told your strengths were weaknesses. Now I'm telling you otherwise. Your impulsivity is a gift. Impulses are your key to the miraculous. Your distractibility is an artifact of your inspired creativity. Your mood swings reflect the natural pulse of life. They give you unstoppable energy when you're high, deep soulful insight when you're low. Been diagnosed with a disorder? That's society's latest way to deny its own illness by pointing the finger at you. Your addictive personality is just a symptom of your vast, underused capacity for heroic creative expression and spiritual connection. Your utter lack of repression, your wide-eyed idealism, your unmitigated open mind. Didn't anyone ever tell you? These are the traits shared by the greatest pioneers and visionaries, innovators, revolutionaries, procrastinators, and drama queens, activists on the social scene, space cadets, mavericks, philosophers, derelicts, business suits flying fighter jets, football stars and sex addicts, celebrities with ADD, alcoholics who seek novelty, first responders, prophets and saints, mystics and change agents. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. You know in your heart there's a natural order, something more sovereign than any man-made rules or laws could ever express. And this natural order is called the way. The way is the eternal substrate of the cosmos. It guides the very current of time and space. The way is known by some as the will of God, divine providence, the Holy Spirit, the implicate order, the Tao, reverse entropy, light force. But for now, we'll simply call it the way. The way is reflected in you as the source of your inspiration, the source of your passions, your wisdom, your enthusiasm, your intuition, your spiritual fire, love. The way takes the chaos out of the universe and breathes life into it, giving it divine order. The way, when expressed by the mind, is genius. When perceived through the eyes, is beauty. poor. They can't show their work, so don't ask. Their minds simply resonate with the way. When the way is present, so are they. While others are blind to it, and society begs you to ignore it, the way stirs you inside. Neurological repression blocks most people's awareness of the way. Censoring all thoughts and impulses from the unconscious is their prefrontal cortex, the Gestapo of the brain. Nothing which violates its socialized programming even gets through. But your mind is different. Your mind has been cracked wide open to the way by some miraculous genetic trait, some psychotropic chemical, or maybe even by the will of your own soul. Your brain's reward pathways have been hijacked. Dopamine employed to overthrow the fascist dictatorship of your prefrontal cortex. Now your brain is free of repression. Your mind free of censorship. Your awareness exposed to the turbulent seas of the unconscious. Through this open doorway, divine light shines into your consciousness, showing you the way. This is what makes you a wayseer. 90% of human civilization is populated with those whose brains are blocked to the way. Their brains are hardwired to enforce the social programming indoctrinated since birth. Unlike you, they cannot break out of this programming because they have not yet experienced the necessary revolution of mind. These programmed people take social institutions and rules very seriously. Society is full of games programmed to keep people's minds occupied so they will not revolt. These games often cause sick fixations on peculiar protocols, power structures, taboos, and domination, all subtle forms of human bondage. This distinct form of madness is not only tolerated by the masses, but insisted upon. The programmed ones believe in rules so forcefully, they become willing to destroy anyone who violates them. Wayseers are the ones who call their bluff. Since wayseer minds are free to reject social programming, wayseers readily see these social institutions for what they are, imaginary games. Wayseers comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Helping those who are lost in these games and refuse to help themselves is the calling of many wayseers. Since wayseers are the ones who keep contact with the original source of reality, they are able to disrupt societal conventions and even governments to realign humanity with the way. The wayseers are an ancient lineage, a kind of priesthood, carriers of the flame, ones in the know. There must always be wayseers to reform the dizzying, psychotic, spinning wheels of society. Giant, mindless hamster wheels obscuring the pure blue sky, keeping humanity shackled in a darkened cage. So the wayseers are called to shed light on the madness of society, to continually resurrect the timeless, transcendent spirit of truth. Wayseers reveal this divine truth by devoting themselves to the birth of some creative or disruptive act, expressed through art or philosophy, innovations to shake up industry, revolutions for democracy, coups that topple hypocrisy, movements of solidarity, changes that leave a legacy, rebellions against policy, spirit-infused technology, moments of clarity, things that challenge barbarity, watersheds of sincerity, momentous drives for charity. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all affected by the way. We are all the same, you know, 'cause we're all attracted to the flame. This is your calling, Wayseer. You found your tribe. Welcome home. Greetings. We are from the future. Everything is going to be all right. The future singularity occurred, we became like gods, able to create entire worlds in the blink of an eye. Every thought had drastic immediate impact. All of our dreams became a reality. But so did our nightmares. The future became a battle of ideas. We had to learn to direct our minds to prevent dark psychological forces from destroying all of us. Now, with every new world we create, we summon the sacred imperative for life. Let there be light. 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 How can we be from the future, you might ask? Let us explain. Plants harvest light with near perfect efficiency. But this is impossible under classical physics. Along the way to the photosynthesizing core, photons of light should collide with other particles. But they don't. A photon reaching the core is as likely to succeed as you sprinting blindfolded through a dense forest, reaching the center without striking a single tree. Plants are engaged in a kind of miracle. The plant puts the photon into a state of quantum superposition, multiplying it by every route that photon could possibly take. Imagine blindly sprinting through a forest, being multiplied into every one of the billions of possible paths. If any one of your possibilities were observed hitting a tree, the superposition would collapse, and that would be your final outcome. But the plant patiently refuses to observe any of these casualties, while at its heart it continues to sing, "Let there be light. Let 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 there be light." When any of the possibilities finally reaches the core without fail, only that winner is observed. All the other possibilities disappear. The winner is transmitted back through time from the future and becomes the only possibility that ever existed. This is how photons reach the plant's core with impossible precision. This is how you and every organism in existence overcame the massive improbabilities of life. This is how we are from the future. This is how you will become the light of the world as we invoke the sacred imperative together. Let there be light. 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 Let there be light.